a bit louder. Say something, my friend.
Hello, I'm speaking. You should try talking to him because you're
Okay.
further away from the mic.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, I guess it's time to reveal their faces. I guess it's time. Well, hello there, lovely people, developers of the game That Must Die Realm
Hello.
Archive.
Hello, everyone.
Oh my god, that's really exciting. I'm super happy. I want to start by saying that I'm super happy and super thankful that you guys said yes to this crazy idea of mine where I just interrogate people live on Twitch, asking them uncomfortable questions and making them feel like silly and stuff like that. But thank you so much for accepting my request today. Before I get started, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourselves. Anyone can start,
Okay.
just like introduction, who you are, what is your background, yada yada yada.
Well, we're the two programmers on the team. There's two other people on the team, the artists who aren't here right now. I'm Angel. I've been with the project from the start. We kind of both dabble in design as well. But yeah, if you have questions about the art, we can't help you.
Yeah, I'm Simo. I'm the other developer. Yeah, we do a lot of stuff. It's a small team, so you have to be flexible.
And for how long you've been working on that project? Like, I'm really curious. For how long has that been going on?
I think it's been like more than a year, like a year and a few months at this point.
Yeah.
Like a year and 4 months or something. Full time, I'd say.
Yeah, and for me, I joined the project late, so not quite as much time.
Yeah. Timo joined just like a month, like 2 months ago or something, right?
Yeah. I actually left my job and went full time. It's been
Wow.
fun.
Okay, oh wow. You left your full-time job to dedicate yourself and your time to the game.
Yeah. I mean, I know the guys. They showed me the game. I was amazed. I played it all night, and I was like, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, you were a playtester before you started working on it, right? You were one of our first playtesters.
Yeah.
So you know a lot about the game when you got into the project, right? But
Wow. But how does it feel now looking back to the moment where you decided, you know what, I'm gonna quit my full-time job and join the team? How does it feel? How do you see it right now? Do you feel satisfied? Do you feel unhappy with it? Because that's a very big step that not all people are kind of like willing to take in their career opportunities,
Yeah. It's a big step. It was kind of scary, but it's been really fun. But also like you pretty much have to work all the time. There's a lot of crunching going on right now. It's not as like a 9-to-5 job.
I just want to mention we're not forcing anyone to crunch. I just want to get that out of the way. we're all kind of like
it's a self-flagellation.
Yeah, we co-own the company, so we're kind of all very devoted about the project, but we don't have any employees or anything. We're not putting pressure on anyone to crunch.
Yeah, it's a self-inflicted thing.
Yeah, plus we were slacking off a bit before that, so crunch comes like when you've taken a bit more time off than you should have, right?
I mean, I hope this is true because maybe he's lying to you. I don't know, like that. Yeah, have a wee bit of a sense, like it's not necessary. It's all fine. It's all good. I'm just kidding.
No, you're right, because in a lot of contexts it is like, a lot of companies are like, you don't have to crunch, but you actually gotta crunch because it's like, yeah, you're like compared to the other employees and so on. But with us, it's really like we're super hands-off. We're just a bunch of friends. We know each other super well. We hang out like all the time, even when we're not working. So it's just a lot of fun, and we're like super excited to get as much stuff into the game as possible, and that's why we're crunching, because we really love doing this.
Yeah, we've been going to game jams for like 10 years now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
10 years. And yet again, that was my first game jam last year when I met your colleague. It was amazing. Like it's an amazing experience to actually go on to a game jam and just deep dive into the whole innovation and this hard work process of people just willing to stay awake as much as possible just to get the most work done. And of course, make new friends, network, and stuff like that. It was an amazing experience, and I would definitely go again next year. That's for sure. But I also thought about like going into like a bigger like game jam, like somewhere outside of Bulgaria, you know, because for those of you who don't know, those amazing fellas here are from Bulgaria and currently live in Bulgaria. But I was thinking, do you guys think about like, you know, showing up on like bigger events, international events, you know?
Well, I'd say we've thought of it. We couldn't do it before releasing this game because we were on a like pathetically small budget. If we go to something like Comic-Con, we'd like burn all of our money. I'd say those events aren't very cost effective in terms of like marketing, so you're mostly doing it like for the networking, for the vibes and so on. I'd definitely do something like that. It does sound fun, but yeah, it hasn't been our priority so far for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I guess with the time and as the community and everything expands, I think it's going to be a great idea and actually a big opportunity for you to do something like that. Like, for instance, the Gamescom, you know, where all sorts of developers all around the world gather there just to network and showcase their games.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you, what was the inspiration behind the concept of Death Must Die?
Well, I'd say because like before we made this game, we had a game that's like very linear and story heavy, and with that game, one thing you realize is that with that kind of game, you don't have the game until you have the full game. Like it's not a very iterative process because to see if the whole thing works, you need the whole story in place, all the cutscenes and so on, and that can be kind of exhausting for a small team. So I think going into this game, we wanted something where we can iterate very fast, like have a playable game at any point. I think that really helps you refine the design, especially when you're inexperienced in design like us. Yeah, so we kind of started with this idea in mind, and just the genre itself of like survival-like games really suit this sort of approach. I guess that's sort of the motivation, not the inspiration. Like the inspirations are like a lot of games from our childhood. Obviously, you can see Vampire Survivors in there, Hades, and so on, Diablo as well, all kinds of stuff. In the art as well, like the artists aren't here, but you can see the love they have for a lot of classic games they've played as kids, just in the artworks, the little icons and the style.
Yeah, it really does take me back to my childhood as I'm looking at it, and I kind of feel like this is sort of a nostalgia that a lot of people out there miss, you know, growing up, because right now you have Unreal engines and whatnot going on. Everything is way more realistic and stuff like that, but people miss the good old days, you know. People just want to escape and remind themselves how it all began with the gaming industry, with the games and everything, you know, starting from their early age. Okay, all right. And can you tell us more about the development process of the games? Do you personally have some significant challenges that you faced along the way?
Oh boy.
Yeah. We are the programmers, so I guess like on a technical level, with this kind of game and this kind of development process, you have a lot of iteration. And I think one of the biggest challenges is just always shifting the code base towards the new design, right? Because like it's not some kind of like predictable business space where you know how the whole software is going to function up front and just have the whole architecture and so on, right? Like if you look at the game itself, it's not very impressive technically. Like you could probably make it from scratch in a few months, but what you don't see is like how many cycles of iteration you went through and how much stuff was discarded. Like for just the enemies alone, like we probably reworked them 6 times or whatever, with the latest iteration having like AI sequences and stuff. At first they were just going to be like in Vampire Survivors, just simple hitboxes that move towards you. Then we added the attack animations. Then we had like more complex behaviors, different abilities, passive abilities. Now for the next act, we've got bosses with multiple phases and stuff like that. So it's everything's always changing. That's the biggest pain when you're the programmer. That's the biggest pain.
Yeah, a lot of refactoring. It's kind of a running joke among us. Yeah, just like, I mean, in every programming job, you have to make a trade-off between keeping the code clean and delivering fast. With the caveats that if you deliver fast now, that may slow you down later.
Yeah.
So we try to balance it all the time.
And how do you achieve this balance? Like this is a hard task, honestly.
I think it's huge part of it is kind of intuition. Like sometimes you can give concrete advice. I think you can distill a lot of these programming principles and like put them in a book or something. But even as you're reading the text, kind of the perspective you have will twist the meaning of the words themselves, right? A lot of cases, the nuance of the situation tells you what's the right decision, right? Should you over-engineer this? Should you make it extremely simple, assuming that this part of the code won't be changing too much and so on? It's kind of something you gain with experience, and you're always gaining more of
it. Yeah. And there is no like perfect way to do it, because you can't predict the future. You can just kind of try to aim and see where you get.
Yeah, that is completely true, and it's not an easy task, especially since you started, I would say, recently. It hasn't been such a long time, but although I can tell without looking at the game that this has been developed for a longer time than a year and so, as you both shared with me. But how is the community helping you with that? Like, are they actually helpful within taking those important decisions and making the right balance? Or is it just whatever kind of like feels right?
So you're like a lot more active, I think, on reading the forums and stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, we definitely got a lot of feedback. We're actually addressing a lot of the feedback with the upcoming update. And also we have some great mods to help us manage the Discord. So yeah, it's the benefits of early access. You can share your project with the community and see how it's received, see what are like the problem areas, because we definitely have some problem areas. But yeah, we are working on that. Yeah, I guess thanks to everyone who is part of early access and is sharing feedback.
Yeah, I think on the one side it is kind of stressful, right? Because you're getting this instant feedback. It's not like developing a game in isolation for like 4 years and then shipping it. But I feel like I've been pleasantly surprised with how positive people have been. Like even on the negative stuff, you can see that the people they're being negative because they want the game to be better. Like they're just really passionate about the game. They can see the potential and they're like giving their honest feedback 99% of the time, which is super cool.
Yeah. Sometimes you get like conflicting feedback though. That's
that's
starts with
that's the hardest part, right? 50-50 split between the community, you decide.
Yeah. So
how do you decide on those conflicts? Like, do you make a poll? Do you flip a coin, or what's the step you're taking?
I think like the movement penalty was surprisingly divisive, because we are removing it right now for the next update. and a lot of people actually like it. They think it adds a bit of an extra challenge. And I was initially in that camp as well before actually playtesting without it. And since we have a lot of new enemies and so on with the next act that are more complex, you actually get that extra challenge from just like the enemy behaviors, I think. So the game is more about dashing away and, getting the movement right in other ways. So I think you kind of have to see like the underlying reason behind why people don't like something and try to address like the root cause of it.
Yeah, that's put really well, because it's like a patient. Like, you're the doctor and he tells you where it hurts, but you gotta actually diagnose it. He's not gonna tell you what he has because he doesn't know.
Yeah,
a lot of times, right?
Yeah, obviously. But it's really challenging. Like, my admirations for that. If I was in your place, I would be like, I don't know, probably no, that's not for me. I'm done. I would get someone that has to deal with those kind of things. No, but for you, it's a really, 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 really big challenge. Is there any like funny stories you can share with us, if you feel comfortable among those feedbacks and everything?
Oh, I don't know, it's kind of hard to remember. We do have a lot of funny snippets. There's a lot of funny reviews, but
yeah, from the top of my
yeah,
head.
kind of hard from the top of your head. Sometimes you see two people like stating like super zealously two opposite points, one above each other, and it's kind of funny when you like snapshot it like that. Yeah, I don't know. Hard to remember anything specific.
Okay. Did you put any challenges for them, like if they find a bug or something, like a bounty or anything of that nature?
We haven't done anything like that, no.
Yeah, we have a bug report channel.
We do
But,
have
I mean, it's in early access. Yeah, bugs are kind of expected. We have to actually prioritize bugs because just the backlog keeps growing. But yeah, we're trying to reduce them as much as possible. Prioritizing more serious and more widespread bugs.
Yeah, like some of the hardest stuff has been when it's a bug on a piece of hardware we don't have, like some weird graphical glitch that only happens on MacBook Pros from 2008 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we had this.
And you gotta go into the code and you're like trying
2008.
to
Wow.
trying to meditate on what's happening, or either that or go get the piece of hardware, and sometimes even that doesn't help.
I actually went hunting for a second-hand MacBook because of this specific graphical issue that only happens on one specific GPU.
There was another graphical issue that only happened on like one specific type of Acer laptops. I actually went and bought that kind of laptop and I couldn't reproduce it, so I just kind of guessed what the problem was and fixed it that way in the end. So we're a small team. It's kind of hard to manage all this stuff, but yeah, we're doing our best.
And yeah, there's also like, apart from bugs, there are also like optimizing the game.
Yeah,
which is something
I think we haven't had much time for that. I'm probably gonna have to dedicate a few weeks to that prior to the 1.0 release. I know some extreme builds do absolutely destroy the frame rate, and I'm really sorry about that. It's just we haven't had the time to really take a look at it.
This is a very challenging aspect to exactly make the game work on multiple different hardwares from different like years and generations and whatnot. Like, and I'm super surprised that you both put the effort to go over and beyond just for this like small percentage of people that have this problem, just so you can see if you can resolve it, see if you can find like a working way around so those people can still play the game and enjoy their experience in it moving forward, like to see how your work and your efforts and everything is being appreciated, and that will grant you a player that's gonna stay and is super thankful for all the effort that you guys have been doing so far. So congratulations on that, honestly. Like, this is a hard thing to achieve, to keep a community together and at the same time try to keep everyone happy, Because that, I guess, that's the most challenging aspect compared to if you just like put a code into a game and hope it doesn't blow up, right? Like keeping the people together from different types of mindsets, ages, and stuff like that. It's a really hard task.
It's really good, like looking at like all the positive reviews.
And that is a 12,000 positive reviews. 12,000. We're not talking about like 1,000 or 800 or something like that. This is 12,000, over 12,000 by now. How does that make you feel? Like that? It's amazing for me personally.
Well, yeah, as an indie developer, it really is like insane, because especially coming off the failure of our previous game, which like I loved our previous game, but it didn't sell well at all. We were kind of hoping we could hit like a few hundred reviews here, make back our time and money, but this, like, the reception has been insane. I don't think any of us like expected this much. Like even I think we had like talks about like trying to guesstimate like how big is this game going to be, and this was definitely beyond our like upper margin of like how much we could have anticipated.
Simo, do you have any comments upon the 12,000 positive reviews?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that the previous game, like I wasn't part of it, but it's also pretty great. I played it a lot when it came out.
Yeah, you did actually. You were one of our playtesters back then too.
Yeah. No, it's great. Definitely, it allowed me, to be a part of this project.
I guess the catalyst for like the huge reception has been all of the content creators that really picked it up, especially from the start. Like there's too many to list, but just even before we released, even during the next fest, like so many people were playing the game, enjoying it, sharing their videos, like being super excited about the game, and like then the players themselves joined, like obviously word of mouth. And the moment you have people like engaging, giving feedback, the community just starts growing, and it's been great to see it firsthand. It's really amazing.
And it's just like a fun game to play. Like when I first got to play it, I just couldn't stop. I just, one more run, let's do another one. Yeah, it just gets you hooked. And
like the best marketing you can have is like having something that people want to play. That's the truth. Like I really like our previous game, but it's very niche. Right? It's you have to like very specific types of games to appreciate it, and Death Must Die just has very wide appeal. It's very easy to just hand it over to someone and like just let them play. Right? It's so easy to go get into the game. I think this wide appeal is what really sells it to a lot of people.
That's incredible. What do you think it makes it more different compared to other roguelike games out there? Well, what is so much more different from everything else that's out right now?
Well, I'd probably compare it to other games in our specific subgenre, which is like other survivor games. And like one thing I'm very proud of, and I'm saying this as one of the programmers, is like I think our pixel art is very beautiful. I like the general art direction of the game. Like this is a game that is very artist driven, which like the industry has a lot of amazing artists, but here like the artists very often dictate the look of specific things, like post processing, how we do specific visuals. And I think what you get in the end is a game that's like very visually striking, very like well directed and uniform. So that's one thing. And the other is, I think, the general blend of elements and how we've implemented some common systems, like our meta progression being tied in the items, which are like everybody loves items. I guess it's the best part of Diablo, right? Grinding items and so on.
Yeah, I was gonna say the deep like RPG elements we have, and we do want to, get even deeper with the systems.
Yeah.
Well, that game is also with a focus on replayability. How do you ensure that each playthrough feels fresh and offers more experience for the players?
I think that's the game design department. So yeah, I think like the variety of gods is like the biggest thing. Just kind of all the possible combinations you can do between the different gods, and hopefully we'll keep adding new ones to kind of increase that.
Mhm.
And also the different locations on the map as well, right? Because you can kind of make a build around some of the more interesting locations we have. So just stumbling on a like rare location, getting some pretty unique buff. I think that can kind of shift your build in a very different way.
And we're kind of like working on adding, because with like kind of with every axis along which you can randomize a run, you get more replayability, more edge, right? Because the like one axis is like the the blessings, and then you can merge those with the map objects in different ways, and then like we plan to add other stuff that can get randomized in the future, so you have like even more like possible combinations of stuff with even more replayability.
Another question we have here is from Fluffy. Fluffy, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing. What was the biggest hurdle you had coming over while developing the game? And also, who is Bob?
Who is Paul?
I can answer the Bob one if you want to take the DNI question.
The biggest hurdle while developing the game. To be honest, I'm not sure. Like that might be a different answer for every member of the team. We already talked about the technical challenges. Like for me, I guess the most like difficult aspect has been sort of like managing your like personal life, because this is like I quit my job to make the previous game, right? And I had some savings back then, but that game kind of flopped. So this was the second game we were making. And like towards the end of development, I was kind of running out of savings. So it was everything's banking on this game, right? So like on a mental note, you're like super invested in what you're doing, but it's also kind of stressful, right? And yeah, I guess the other hurdle was actually just even starting the game, because like after the previous game, we weren't even sure if you want to do another one. And I remember that's when the artists approached me and they like hyped me up for the project. They had like a spec and stuff. So that was like kind of the team even coming together at all. It was a thing that was on the fence initially. I think once we started working, the development kind of just rolled on. Once we got back into the zone, like I don't remember anything, some insurmountable technical or design challenge at that point. We just kept trucking on, like making games. Now we can explain about Bob.
Yeah, who's Bob? I want to know who's Bob.
Yeah, it's we have this belt. It's a unique belt that you have in the game, and it's Bob's belt. And so it's actually an inside joke related to like cryptography. In cryptography, like in those examples, you usually have Alice and Bob communicating, and then some, third party trying to get the what they're saying. So it's Alice and Bob, and kind of fits with the flavor text of the belt. So that's kind of where the joke came from.
You fucking dog. Did you come up with it?
Yeah, I came up with it.
Okay.
That was very convincing, though. I gotta agree. But like, are we gonna find out who's Bob, or nobody knows who's Bob?
Right now it's like a little cryptography inside joke.
Easter egg. There's a lot. There's so many Easter eggs in the unique items. Like everyone is a joke. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. We try to have fun.
Oh, that is amazing. My community here says it's probably Cave Bob. Maybe it's a Cave Bob after all, not just Bob.
We'll see.
Okay, so you basically know who Bob is, but you don't want to reveal anything right now. Okay. Keep your secrets. Was this game influenced by the Berserker comics or Dark Souls?
To be honest, like no, like, I've read Berserk. I've played Dark Souls, but I'm not very heavily engaged in the art. So like, I know that none of the artists are big Dark Souls players, and I don't think any of them have read Berserk. So I don't think that's an. Although I can definitely see the Dark Souls vibe because it's dark fantasy, especially once you see some of the bosses we've got ready for Act 2, you would think you're playing Dark Souls. But yeah, no, I don't think during design we've been trying to like reference those things now.
I know the design team is not here with you, anyone from them, but like.
Well,
you
we do participate in design. Like we all design the
Okay.
game kind of together. Yeah, but like the visual design and like systems design and like more specific stuff, that's mostly Renier and Bernard.
Got it. But like, what was that you guys wanted to depict with, you know? Where did you get the influence? If I should be more specific with this question, because you have a lot of elements, as you mentioned in the beginning of the interview, between Diablo, Dark Souls, and other, OG games out there. But what was your imprint on that?
I think for the setting, it's even like goes back to like old school D&D, and it's kind of you have the different characters, you have the party, you have to have this big quest that you have to do.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of fantasy elements and tropes.
I guess if you zoom in and you try to look at the individual elements of the game, you can see some of the more concrete inspirations, like the map objects. And this, like, it isn't super obvious, but I think Heroes 3 plays a big part in that because you're always moving them about around the map, picking up like objects of interest. I think there might even be some reference. There are references to Heroes 3, I think, and the map objects, right? So that's one inspiration. You can see a lot of like old school Diablo, Warcraft vibes in the game, like in general. Obviously, more recent games like Hades, Vampire Survivors, like Dead Cells, like we want to get those like punchy, like replayable game vibes. So like there's a lot of stuff, and it kind of depends on what we're looking at. Depending on which subsystem we're making. Like if you're making like UI, you might go for one style. If you're making like the gameplay feel, you might be looking for something else. And also there's like the whole art direction thing where we can't really talk too much because the artists aren't here.
Absolutely. And about the game mechanics, like, can you tell us more about the game mechanics? Like, what type of game mechanics have you been implementing to the game? How does that work with all the rest of the components and etc.?
Mechanics, like I've been involved in some of like the game design, and I think balancing is a pretty big component of like the combat mechanics. It's a really difficult problem to balance an RPG game just because of like the insane possibilities that you can make with all different builds, and you have to balance like across all of the possibilities. So it's just like a mathematical problem, just figuring out what is like the expected damage output or like the expected like amount of hits you can take from a boss, and to just kind of balance the game to be fun in as wide of a spectrum of possibilities as possible. It's something you like. It's very hard to do, and it requires a lot of thinking about all the different systems the game has. So yeah, that's definitely something that I found quite challenging when thinking about the mechanics of the game. So for example, like if you have a boss, for some builds it may be trivial to kill him, but it can take quite a lot of time with some other builds where like it feels spongy, and you try to mitigate that as much as possible. And we do have like difficulty modifiers and stuff like that.
All right. And how many characters are there currently in the game at this very moment? No spoilers needed. Just we're talking
Yeah.
for up until that very moment right now.
Right now we have 5 characters.
Yeah, with the the new character coming up with X2, right?
Yeah, we'll be 6, the 6th one.
Don't know
And-
how many you'll have by the end, to be honest.
The more the better, I guess. You know, long term as the game expands and becomes bigger and bigger. I kind of feel like it's going to be the more the better situation for sure.